history that we are taught today in our textbook is usually the history of the invaders. Ki, Changiz, Pathan, Turk, Mongolian, Dutch, French, Portuguese, British, all these people who have come and invaded. And we read their history, but a very little of our own history. This has been rightly discussed in a conversation with another economist, Sanjeev Sanyal. तो सर आपने जो सुहेल देव बुक लिखी थी जिसमें आपने बताया कि दो टर्क लीडर्स के बीच में एक गोल्डन पीरियड था जब सुहेल देव जैसे हीरो ने मुस्लिम हिंदू बुद्धिस्ट इन सारी फ्रेंड्स को यूनाइट करके एक फॉरेन इन्वेडर के साथ वॉर लड़ा सर ऐसे अनसंग हीरो की और अगर कोई स्टोरी हो जिसके बारे में बिकॉज देयर इज लेस एकेडमिक लिटरेचर अवेलेबल ऑन सच टॉपिक दैट्स व्हाई आई वुड वांट टू नो
You're very right. Our history books have a problem that one, they're too Delhi centric. Again, I've said this very often, I'm not anti-Delhi. It's an important city, but it's not the only part of India. Exactly. Right? There are various other parts of India. So that is one issue. All parts of India need to be covered. The other issues, you are right. I mean, and I've said this often, that it's more the history of our invaders rather than our own history. So those who we refer to as Delhi Sultans and Mughals were actually Turks. The Mughals didn't call themselves Mughals. They called themselves Timurid, which meant descendant of Timur. They were Turks. They were very clear. We think Babar was the founder of the Mughal dynasty. The Mughal themselves, if you see their seals, if you see Aini Akbari, if you see Alamgiri, all their biographies, always acknowledge Timur as their founder. The seal of the Mughal emperors was a round seal. At the top was always the founder's name, Timur. Right? And then it came in a circle like this, and the present king or emperor would be, the name would be in the middle. So our history books have added to that confusion. Regrettably, popular culture also has. So many people think that Akbar looked like Prithviraj Kapoor or Hrithik Roshan or Alauddin Khilji looked like Ranveer Singh, which is nonsense, I assure you. They did not look Indian at all. To our Indian eyes, they would have looked Chinese, but they weren't actually Chinese. They were Turks and Mongols. Turks and Mongols are from the steppe lands, which stretches from Eastern Europe through Central Asia to Eastern Asia. Right? All the Huns who had also invaded India, we defeated them, but they destroyed much of Europe. Huns, Mongols, Turks, Scythians, these were all tribes of the steppes. And they all had Mongoloid features. Also, they did not speak Urdu. Urdu is an Indian language. It's our language. Whatever films may have shown to you, they would have spoken Turkic. Okay? The only place you can listen to Turkic today is Turkey has been, the Turkic has been Hellenized a great deal. But if you go to Turkmenistan or everywhere, you can listen to Turkic. And challenge to you, please try and understand anything of what they are saying. Right? They would have spoken Turk. They were foreigners. Right? They looked foreign. They spoke foreign. They were relatively small tribes. If we don't call the British colonial invasion the Christian rule, why do we call the Turkic colonial invasion the Islamic rule? Because Indian Muslims were as oppressed by those same invaders. Many don't know this, but they used to call the Indian Muslims Hindustani Muslims. Right? So even at the time of Akbar, who was relatively liberal, the quote-unquote Hindustani Muslims weren't allowed within the borders of Agra or Fatehpur Sikri. Hindu Rajputs could enter, right? But Hindustani Muslims were not allowed. Right? So they were foreigners, right? Just like the British. The British didn't treat Indian Christians any better than Indian Hindus. You know that, right? So this confusion has been caused by movies and history books, and we need to understand that so that we can confront. There were terrible crimes that they did, and we haven't made peace with that, and some people confuse that with Indian Muslims today, which is negative, which is not, and they had nothing to do with them. So we need to speak the truth of our history so that we can make peace with some of the terrible crimes of our history. I hope history books do that. Since they don't, which is why I try and bring out stories through popular culture. So I have various other story ideas, just like Legend of Suheldev. Hope to bring them out soon, and hopefully you guys will like them too.
Definitely, sir.
So history and translations have to be done through prescribed lenses or frameworks, whereas mythology can be run through any lens. Your books are work of mythology and they are often away from controversies. But do you ever fear hurting sentiments of any community?
Firstly, history can also have various lenses, right? So, if you go to the UK, Winston Churchill is seen as a hero. How is he seen in India? Winston Churchill was, for us Indians, Winston Churchill was as much of a monster as Hitler was. Winston Churchill ordered a famine which killed 4 million Indians in the Bengal famine of 1942. So it's the same facts, but the lenses will dictate whether you see him as a hero or a villain. So history has that too, just like what could be called mythology in the West or what is called itihasa and Pauranik Katha in India. Secondly, I think in India, if you write things with respect, there is no need for any controversy. You can have a different truth as long as you write with respect, which to me is actual liberalism. When you're willing to accept a different point of view, a different truth. And Indians, I think, are intuitively liberal because we are used to multiple truths, in our way of life. I love doing this pop quiz again, so let me do a pop quiz that I would expect a certain answer since we are in North India. Lord Karthik, everyone knows Lord Karthik? Yeah? Is he a bachelor? Who says yes? Okay, you're a South Indian? Okay, you're saying no. Okay, anyone else says no? Okay, just 3. The rest say yes. Okay, so in North India, it is believed that Lord Karthik is a bachelor, right? So much so that women don't even enter a Lord Karthik temple. In South India, he is married. He has 2 wives, Valiji and Senaji, right? And this to me, and Indians are comfortable with it. We don't have any problem, right? My mother, who is deeply religious, will not enter a Lord Karthik temple in North India. When she goes to South India, guess what she does? She enters, right? We are comfortable with multiple truths. Most Indians, we grow up with this, and that to me is genuine liberalism. You're comfortable with multiple truths as long as you show it with respect. I show my books with respect, so there's no controversy. Anyone heard any controversy around me ever? No, right?
Thank you, sir.
So any management lessons that we can learn from our Vedas or Puranas, which are also relevant in today's time?
Look, the Vedas, Puranas, Bhagavad Gita, these are all teaching you the art of learning how to live. If you learn the art of learning how to live, that's a management lesson as well. Many days, today's education system sadly doesn't teach that enough. We are just taught skill sets, to earn money. And often you'll find so many people who earn money and are still unhappy with life. So, knowing how to make choices and decisions in life is the most important aspect of life. And all our scriptures essentially taught that. And that obviously helps you become a great management leader as well.
So this question is for the aspiring writers in the audience. You've written bestsellers. What is the structure or a skeleton that you make before writing a book, or a framework that you follow, or where do you start your research from?
Okay, I honestly don't make any framework or anything. I'm an instinctive writer. I just follow, the flow, the way it comes to me. The research, look, anything that I'm doing when I'm not writing is research. I read a lot. I read at least 5-6 books per month. I travel a great deal. When I travel, I like to meet people from different backgrounds, and then I like to listen. So even when I travel, I don't like to travel in group tours and in a bubble. I like to meet local people, learn local things, eat local food, unless it's too weird. I mean, I'm not going to go to China and eat bats, for example. Sorry if that was politically incorrect. Sorry. But as long as it's not too weird, I like to eat local food. I like to have local experiences because all that is research. So research for me is everyday life. When I'm reading, when I'm meeting people, and writing, I don't really make a process of flow. I'm an instinctive writer. It just comes to me and I just flow with it.
According to Praveen ji, he mentioned that there seems like a divine intervention the writing is just flowing out of you, first Shiva and the Ram Chandra series. So do you actually feel a divine intervention here and that the stories just come naturally to you?
I genuinely believe it, and I've said it very often. I know some people might find it strange. I don't care. I genuinely believe it's Lord Shiva's blessings. Why he blessed someone like me, I don't understand. There are many better writers, but I have written 10 relatively long books over 12 years. They're all connected to each other. I left clues in Secret of the Nagas, which are tied up now in War of Lanka, which is a different series. Because one way to read the Ram Chandra series is that it's a 1500-year prequel to the events of the Shiva Trilogy. There's no way I could have planned this. There's no Excel file that could have worked this out. I just know this has to be done this way. That's all, and I trust the flow. So I genuinely believe it's a blessing. And therefore, my outlook is that I have to make sure I respect this blessing and write as much as I can before the blessing stops, because I don't know when it will stop. Let's hope it doesn't stop.
So, what part of the Shiva series was the hardest to write?
The death of Goddess Sati. I was completely distraught after that. I was actually crying while writing it, and after I wrote that scene, I remember I had gone back to my room and told my wife that I just said she's dead, and I started crying. Yeah, that was perhaps one of the most difficult scenes.
It's a big leap of faith that you have taken, leaving a 14-year secured career of banking and insurance industry, as there are a lot of young aspiring writers here in the crowd. We wanted to really know whether creativity can go parallel with the secured jobs, or it takes a toll, and if you want to do multiple things together.
I didn't know, it was no leap of faith actually. I resigned only after my second book, when my royalty check became more than my salary. Very boring, very pragmatic decision. And I tell all writers this, that let your heart decide the destination, but use your mind to plot the journey. Don't just jump without thinking. There's no dishonor in having a job while you're writing your books, and resign only once you can make out कि यार ये चलने वाला है. And your purpose in writing books should not be to make money. Money comes, it's a good bonus, but because if you just want to make money, banking is a good job as well. It's not stealing, it's good money. Writing should be for the voice of your soul. That's why you should write.
So that brings me to the last question for you, sir. As you said in one of your interviews, that mythos, the word mythos, that is, it's a Greek word which means the way of stories, and you lead to the philosophical truth of life through those stories. So what is the philosophical truth for Amish Tripathi?
Good question. I think I have learned some philosophies through the process of writing. I was, I think I am a relatively calm, peaceful person now. I think most people who meet me at least think I am positively of me. But if you'd met me in my banking days, I was very aggressive. I used to shout and scream a lot, very typical IM MBA. And I was very unhappy with life. And perhaps the philosophical lesson I've learned in life, at least at this stage, is that the greatest blessing that God can give you is not in changing your world, it's in changing you. Because my character turned 180 degrees through the process of writing my books. I am still very competitive. I hate losing, and I will keep working hard. But I'm not as crazy as I used to be. I think that competitiveness is now there with a dose of patience and calmness. And this patience and calmness has certainly helped me in the last 6-7 years. I've passed through a very difficult personal phase in my life. The career has gone better and better, but one faced a lot of tragedies in the personal life. I've lost a lot of people. I've lost people who are very, very dear to me, some in tragic ways. But because my character has turned 180 degrees, I've become calmer, I think I've been able to handle it. Because the kind of character I was in my banking days, I don't know if I could have been able to handle these things. Look, जिंदगी में उतार चढ़ाव सबके आते हैं. everyone has a share of grief. You have to be able to handle what life throws at you.